think we're good. Hey everyone, it's Alexander, the real Mr. Robinson. Welcome to the channel. Welcome to the latest Godzilla watch along, which for some reason it feels like it's been forever since I've done one of these. But yeah, this is Godzilla vs. Gigan, which I consider probably the worst Godzilla film of the Showa era. And I'll touch upon that as we go through this watch along. Got lost in words for a second. Yet many people still consider All Monsters Attack to be the worst one, and it's definitely bad, but I think this is worst for a multitude of reasons. But first, I want to just welcome all of you who are in the chat at the moment. We got the regulars here. You know who you guys are. Hope you all are doing all right. I think we're in a state in this world. I mean, we're in the middle of 2020, and I don't think anyone's really out there going, you know what, I'm doing awesome. So, I mean, I hope you guys are doing as good as you can be doing. So, we're just going to get right into this at the moment. This was, after Godzilla vs. Hedorah, this is a movie that went more towards the traditional Godzilla movie. It's not as weird or bizarre. Nowhere near as bizarre as Godzilla vs. Hedorah. And it brings back Jun Fukuda, who directed Ebirah Horror of the Deep and Son of Godzilla, and he would do the next two Godzilla movies that we will get to later on. And let's actually not prolong this any further. Let's just hop into it. If you're watching this in post-production, you can watch the movie on Criterion Channel or HBO Max if you don't have the DVD or Blu-ray. And if you are watching it live, I hope you have it all set up, ready to go. GZilla100 wishes it was 2021 already. I do too. I think everyone on this planet wishes it was next year. And yeah, let's just get into the movie. I'm pushing the play button right now. I'm gonna get some water. And this movie is infamous for not actually having a score. It's just a bunch of stock music used from Ifukube's previous work. And the music used in this title sequence here, where it's showing the logos, I don't exactly know what what movie the score is from. This is from, I think, Mothra vs. Godzilla. Kind of a weird first shot of Godzilla where it just shows him on Monster Island. And then he does this. Godzilla vs. Gigan, or Earth Destructive Directive Godzilla vs. Gigan, as it's known in Japan. Okay, so here's the weirdest thing about these opening credits. That beep noise that you hear, because we only had access to the like international cut of this movie with like the English titles and English credits. I had no idea what those sound effects were. These bing sound effects here, right there, because the credits weren't played to these like little colorful bars that would show the credits. So I just thought it was some weird sound effects that they put in for no discernible reason at all. But watching the Japanese credits and seeing that there are little lines that pop up with those sound effects, that makes total sense. And this music, I don't know what that's from. What movie that's from. Wah wah. Let's bring in a concept of the monster. You know what? Never mind. If it's a homework monster, then it's too stupid. Man, if only that editor, uh, if everyone, if only everyone shared his mentality where kids are far more sophisticated. What kind of restaurant is that? Like, those boots are pretty bizarre. Your heart, bitch. You know, it does. It that makes more sense in Japanese. Mamagan, because like it just makes no sense for him to just call his girlfriend a bitch right then and there. And I don't know what music, what movie this music is from. And there's the Godzilla Tower. Why is the offices at a slant? I mean, never mind. I guess just the windows. So here, I mean, yeah, you know what? I don't want to get into that right now, because there's an aspect about the Godzilla Tower that I want to mention if the events of the movie had never happened. You know, when somebody starts talking like that about like absolute peace, you might want to be a little suspicious, because we've heard that speech utilized before in other Godzilla movies. Here's stock footage incoming. Yeah, if a theme park developer is talking about wiping out Monster Island and its inhabitants, you might want to be a little suspicious. Hey kids, can you say non-subtle? Because that's what these monsters are. What size TV are you watching this on? I wish I was watching this on a TV. I'm watching this on a portable Blu-ray player that I got for college. Yeah, I'll show you. See, this is what I'm watching it on. I mean, it's easy to, like, have it close to the TV, and it's also a good idea to not... It's easier to have my headphones plugged in so YouTube doesn't pick it up and copyright this, this video. Yeah, again, no subtlety from this guy at all. Okay, enough of that conversation. Wonder if this this character is a parallel to Matt Frank in any way. Sorry. They didn't exactly say how they were gonna eliminate all the monsters on Monster Island. But again, if a theme park developer is saying that, you might want to be a little suspicious on that. Boom! Dude, if that guy's your boss, okay, you gave him the wrong directions, but I think you just want to, I don't know. Well, at least he's starting to be a little suspicious. No, none of the nukes would not destroy any of the monsters. What are you talking about? All the monsters would survive from a nuclear explosion. You know, if they employed this guy, there's probably no reason for them to have cameras on him at all times. Those of you who are just joining in, I'm 11 minutes in. Again, you might want to be suspicious about the way these people are acting up, even if they weren't diabolical. Just want to be suspicious about how they act. This music is from Frankenstein vs. Baragon. The opening credits, more exact. Did I stutter? I'm the chairman. Wait, wait, did the dub actually say you're not Mickey Mouse? Oh, that's disappointing. These okay. If you call spoiler alert by saying that they're, if you scream spoiler alert for me saying that they're aliens, then come on. But these aliens are worse at trying to hide their true intentions than these aliens are from Invasion of Astro Monster. You might want to check that trench coat. No, I'm sure he thought it was a knife. And he stripped that corn of the cob right there. So what? Wait, they took him. They took him back to his apartment. Gross. Ew. I mean, that's corporations for you. See, told you to check the... Oh, no, that's a key. Oh, okay, never mind. Okay, I screwed up. My bad. Well, one of them's a hippie. Again, in the most non-subtle way possible. But unfortunately, this movie isn't as anti-hippie as the last one. Amazing Godzilla would hear that from all the way from Monster Island. This is the worst electronic music track ever. The spiky guy? Come on, give Anguirus some respect. I give Anguirus more respect than HBO Max did. What do you want? The dub of this moment is just ridiculous. Go see what's up. Okay. Hurry. Such a weird decision to make the monsters talk. But yeah, like don't refer to Anguirus as just the spiky guy. Like that's again, like because he has a name and at least it's not disrespectful. It's not like HBO Max how the get this, the description for Godzilla vs. Gigan on HBO Max is Godzilla and his fellow monster, Anzilla, that's right, Anzilla, do battle with two evil monsters hired by aliens to help them conquer Earth. So are these two aliens paying Gigan and Ghidorah? Yeah, I'm not sure what this this sounds like it's from Frankenstein versus Baragon. I would say use Grammarly or download Grammarly, but I'm sure Grammarly wouldn't help you with half of the Godzilla names out there. There you go. Thank you, Gzilla100. If you want to know how to spell Anguirus, just copy and paste that. What is this absolute piece crap? Oh, I don't watch Monster Island Buddies. So now they have bananas. Okay, dude, like it's either you shave this part off or just grow out a full beard. Don't keep this little segment. Anguirus is a suit actor. The series would not do mechanical effects for the monsters until the 80s. This music is from Battle in Outer Space, which originally premiered in one scene in Varan the Unbelievable, but this music was mostly famous through Battle in Outer Space. Consider it for a criteria to subtitle the places that they're going. What kind of lens are they using for those driving sequences? Godzilla would win. Like, there's no... Pit any monster against Godzilla, and Godzilla will win. Yeah, this movie maybe would have been more beneficial if it actually had its original score. Or any original score, not just stock music from other movies. Which, I mean, if you're going to reuse stock music from other movies, might as well go with Ifukube's music. Yes, even King Kong. Here's one of my big problems with this movie right now. It's like this whole movie, this first, like about 30 or 40 minutes is like about a mystery on what the employees at Children's Land are behind. Like, what's their true plan? And the audience is like, they're aliens. They're aliens from outer space. There's no doubt about it. Can we just get past all this right now? Like, it's taking forever to try to solve a mystery that there's no real mystery. We know what's going on. Okay, so basically these aliens, if I'm correct... So basically these aliens are cockroaches, but they take the form of dead people. Again, not that bright. I don't know. And there's more music from Frankenstein versus Baragon. They have this super advanced technology. They can communicate to an entire nebula, and yet they still have to print out the instructions on a little piece of paper. And they have to send out communications through tapes. And there's the Destroy All Monsters theme. So they get the cockroach aliens get their own monster alert buzzer, but they do nothing about it. Yeah, this is all stock footage. There's Destroy All Monsters stock footage. Stock footage from Mothra versus Godzilla, where they're supposed to, like, that's supposed to be day, but the sequence that's happening now is supposed to be night. I think the reason is because they needed to save money, because the Japanese film industry by this point was in, like, serious decline, which is why they destroyed the contract system that they had, where you'd see several actors do several movies within the same studio. It didn't matter the genre. Now that actors aren't under contract, they don't have to, like, you don't see so many recognizable faces within the same movies. So, and again, the Japanese film industry was in serious decline, so that's the reason why there's all this stock footage, to save money, because the budgets were getting slashed and actors were being released from contracts. And Geras is looking a little bug-eyed right there. Yeah, this is just not exciting because this action scene is just not exciting because, like, you're just watching stock footage, and the only, like, actual footage for this movie is of Anguirus getting shot down. Everything else is stock footage, including the maser tanks. Like, those things would not officially appear in a Godzilla movie until until Godzilla vs. Biollante. Clearly, the maser tanks don't do anything on Anguirus. So that whole sequence didn't make any sense, because Godzilla told Anguirus to check out what was going on Earth, in Japan, but he got stopped by the self-defense force. So Anguirus wasn't able to do what Godzilla sent him to do. Oh, you mean those red lasers in Return of Godzilla Razorback? Because I don't remember those at all. I mean, those I think I would say those are a completely different model than the ones in Godzilla vs. Biollante. Because the ones that appeared in Biollante first are not exactly the maser cannons from War of the Gargantuas, but they seem very similar. What is happening here? Are they trying to pick the lock? Did you just touch me? Well, that could have been more awkward. Wait, foolish yet cunning. Doesn't that kind of contradict itself? Huh. Excuse me. Huh. Cheap ass looking laser guns. Again, going back to Jun Fukuda, his description of strong female characters means physically. And there's the opening titles from Battle in Outer Space. So Monster Island Control says that Godzilla and Anguirus have broken free. Did Toho just kind of forget the whole argument that Destroy Monsters took place in 1999? Or what? Because I mean, that line just kind of, I don't know. Like, this is 38 minutes into the movie, and something is finally happening. Godzilla and Anguirus are finally, like, heading out to Japan, and this sequence is about to happen. Well, here's the thing. It's like, that one line would indicate that they threw continuity out of the window. But if it wasn't for that line, then, like, the idea that this actually takes place before the events of Destroy All Monsters makes King Ghidorah's appearance more logical, because Ghidorah wasn't killed yet. Speaking of King Ghidorah, ooh, Lord, that looks as bad as the King Ghidorah prop from Pee-wee's Big Adventure. There's the only reason to even watch this movie. Gigan. Not sure what the point of the loop-de-loop was, but whatever. And there's the Son of Godzilla suit being used, which definitely has not aged well. I wonder, like, because that suit was not designed for Nakajima to wear. Given that this is all, like, that suit's only used for the swimming sequences. Was Nakajima in that suit just for those swimming sequences? And that music is the opening credits for Battle in Outer Space once again. You know, they could probably just stop playing the music right now. Because the music doesn't necessarily fit here. Now I wonder, I know there wasn't that much of a budget, but that last shot there where we see the Godzilla Tower feet, does oh Jesus. Anyway, that shot where the characters are running up the stairs, but you see the feet of the Godzilla Tower. Did they actually build that? I can't imagine that they built that whole thing, considering that most of this movie is reliant on stock footage. Or who knows, maybe they built that whole thing, but they didn't have... Because they built that whole thing, they didn't have enough money to do a lot of special effects sequences. I wonder what music is from. This is the worst karate I've ever seen. Yeah, that worked out beautifully. Wait, I forget what Plan B is. Like, I honestly forget how they get out of the tower. The karate was actually so good it looked bad to trick the enemy. Thank you. Didn't even think about that. It's just like saying the Fast 9 trailer when Vin Diesel and John Cena fall off a bridge onto concrete. The concrete was actually made out of rubber. Oh, in an alternate universe, we could have... this pandemic wouldn't be happening. We would have already seen Black Widow, Fast 9, and Wonder Woman 1984. And there's stock footage from the previous movie, Godzilla vs. Hedorah. I mean, is he wrong, though? Yeah, I forgot to mention that later on, like earlier in this stream. I am aware that Godzilla vs. Kong did get delayed to next May, which sucks, but you know what's more important than Godzilla vs. Kong? Living through this pandemic. Because I'm planning to live through this pandemic to see Godzilla vs. Kong again. Again. For the first time. Oh, such perfect timing. Such perfect timing. We can actually show you what species we are. Sorry. And there's music from Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster. What was that? They just used the same music back to back. Ooh, that Ghidorah prop is just... Ooh, Lord. But wait a minute. Okay, I shouldn't be asking this kind of stuff, or these kinds of questions, but if they're in human form, how can their shadows produce their original form? That doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But, well, no. Saying that doesn't make a whole lot of sense would imply that it would make some sense. It doesn't make any sense at all. Yeah, Gigan got screwed. Like, he's one of the coolest looking monsters, but is in the worst movies. And of course, they just took that same footage for when Anguirus was heading to Japan, but just flipped it. There's stock footage from War of the Gargantuas, accompanied by that Destroy All Monsters theme. And there's Destroy All Monsters stock footage. Like, it's pretty easy to tell. Like, there's Mothra versus Godzilla stock footage. Like, even when it's not the monster sequences, it's easy to tell what stock footage and what was actually filmed for this movie. Like, the stock footage just looks a little fuzzier. Yeah. I mean, the actual Ghidorah suit doesn't look too bad, but it's just so stiff. That prop, on the other hand, is horrible. Like, ooh, Lord, that shot right there. And when you really think about that shot, Ghidorah and Gigan are smaller. Like, again, when you think about that shot, the Godzilla Tower would technically dwarf both King Ghidorah and Gigan. And of course, there was already a fire going on before Gigan even destroyed anything. Yeah, this is honestly why I think this is the worst of the Showa era films, because you have all this stock footage being used when Gigan and Ghidorah are destroying Tokyo at night. And, like, either the stock footage is all close up, Ghidorah constantly keeps changing looks and is more active in his movement, and all the stock footage is at daytime. Like, they don't even, like, again, I understand that the Japanese film industry was at a decline, but this is just, there's just sad. The only cool things about this sequence are just seeing Gigan do stuff. Like being able to see his buzzsaw in action. Which unfortunately he never uses in the next movie. Because the Gigan suit that they fixed up for Godzilla vs. Megalon would remove the feature to where the buzzsaw on his chest works. Yeah, that's not a very convincing street for Gigan to walk on. Razorbike says, this and Godzilla vs. Megalon are, at least in my opinion, the worst offenders with stock footage. Yeah, I agree, because at least with All Monsters Attack, here's why I think All Monsters Attack is slightly better than this movie. With All Monsters Attack, all the stock footage in that movie, like, technically takes place within the kid's imagination. So, like, it's just not actually happening. Whereas this movie, like, it's cut in between all these monster rampages and constantly, like, day and night switch. Godzilla and Gigan Godzilla and Ghidorah look drastically different than they did in the stock footage compared to this movie. It's just kind of embarrassing. But again, I understand why. And here's stock music from King Kong Escapes. Which I never knew that this music was from King Kong Escapes until I actually saw that movie. Because King Kong's theme in that movie sounds very similar to Ghidorah's. So yeah, Ghidorah's heads are more wobbly, out of the place in the stock footage, but when you actually see the footage of Ghidorah filmed for this movie, yeah, right there, it's not as wobbly. And for some reason, like, the hair on Ghidorah is more fluffy in this movie. That's a cool shot of Gigan, I have to admit. Such a cool shot that it's the one I used for my thumbnail for this watch-along. Hurry! Move it! Faster! Okay. Like, I don't understand why is it so hard for the international dub to just, like, maintain the simple dialogue for this movie, or when it comes to Godzilla and Gears talking. Whatever. It sure is taking a... Oh no, we saw... Okay. I was about to say, sure, taking the Japanese self-defense force, there's a long time for them to show up, but we saw them. It was through stock footage, but they were there, I guess. Yeah, it's like with this movie and all the destruction scenes. There's footage from Ebirah Horror of the Deep, which again, that's supposed to be daytime, but this sequence clearly takes place at night. I mean, with this kind of movie, it's like if you don't have the money to do these kinds of elaborate destruction sequences, work around the budget. Like, don't write sequences that you can't film. Yeah, right there, Ghidorah and Gigan are just standing around. Okay, now he destroyed that building. I love this moment here. Like, somehow in Tokyo, Gigan managed to find a patch of trees and crawl behind it, even though between those trees we could clearly see Ghidorah. Like that the end of that maser cannon wasn't even didn't even match the stock footage from War of the Gargantuas. Okay, that one did, but the other one didn't. Now, I wonder if that was stock. Like, see, they were in Tokyo. How did they all of a sudden end up in a field with trees? Like, how did that happen? And another problem with the stock music is that you can there's so many themes that Ifukube has made that are so linked to specific monsters that it's really weird to hear Rodan's theme when Rodan doesn't even appear in this movie except in that bit of stock footage at the beginning and by pure accident later on. So now they're back at the harbor. Like they suddenly sit there daytime. Huh? Like they were suddenly at the harbor, then they all of a sudden transported into a field, and now they're suddenly back at this harbor. And finally, Godzilla's here with stock music from Mothra versus Godzilla. You know, Gigan could look that one shot there. Like Gigan could look in the direction that Godzilla and Anguirus were at. Yeah, that Son of Godzilla suit has not aged well at all. And luckily we're back to the suit. It's like Godzilla slowly walks into the camera and then suddenly tackles Ghidorah. And the other thing that irritates me about this movie is that it's like, all right, we got a tag team battle of Godzilla and Anguirus versus Gigan and King Ghidorah, but the monster action's like so slow. Like, I get you're supposed to slow down the footage to emphasize the fact that these monsters are giant and they're like lumbering beasts, but like it's just a lot of sizing up to each other. Like, Godzilla tackled Ghidorah, but then nothing happened. All monsters were sizing each other up, and then Gigan flew in the air and Godzilla knocked him out. Like, I mean, Godzilla versus Megalon would be pretty. Uh, Godzilla versus Megalon is pretty criminal in terms of stock footage, but it's not as gratuitous as this movie. At the very least, we'll get to that movie Thursday, but Godzilla versus Megalon, the stuff that they did film for that movie, at least is fast paced and entertaining. Like, the action scenes here are just never exciting. Which is what bugged me. Bugs me about one of the let's see, one and the classic media DVD for Godzilla Raids Again. There's a whole like little featurette on like Godzilla, on Haruo Nakajima and various suit actors throughout the original series. And one thing that Ed Gajewski says when concerning Godzilla versus Gigan is that if you watch the movie carefully, you see that Haruo Nakajima as Godzilla and Ken Satsuma as Gigan perform some of the most like choreographed fight scenes in the entire original series. And I'm watching this going, for real? Because the action has just not been exciting at all. Okay, that's gotta hurt. Godzilla's just using Anguirus' back to climb up. His hands don't hurt. And then we're gonna just abruptly cut that. Like, we're just gonna abruptly cut that scene, cut the sound effects, cut the music. Oh no, I could slightly hear the music. Like, I could barely hear it, but at this point, it might as well be mute. Okay, coming up, I don't know where it is, but there's a shot from Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster when Godzilla charges at Ghidorah. If you look really carefully, you could see Mothra in that one shot. Oh, so they're stuck in the eye. Okay, I think it's this next shot coming up that I'm talking about. Right. Let's see. Right. Don't make a fool out of me, movie. Right. Screw it. We'll get to it when we get to it. And I'll point it out, like, the second it pops up. But, like, it's the sequence, like, again, from Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster, when Godzilla charges at Ghidorah, and they're in front of that bridge. If you look really carefully, you could see the Mothra larva. It's only a model. Shh. It's been a while since I made that joke. Oh, that's how they get down, via balloon. I think this music that we're hearing is from Frankenstein versus Baragon again. I could be wrong. It's been a while since I've seen that, or it's actually been a while since I've seen any of the non-Toho Godzilla movies, with the exception of Mothra. Those little model humans rolling down. What the? Wait, how did the balloon blow up? How did the balloon blow up? I'm Mary Poppins, y'all. Boom. Okay, that's how they get away. So who was driving that car? It's like, gee, thank God it wasn't us in there. Like, they pulled what Nick Adams and Akira Kobu did in Invasion of Astro Monster, where they fooled the aliens into thinking that they were on the boat. Okay, this shot coming up that I'm talking about. Right there. Mothra larva. And again, Godzilla and Ghidorah have drastically changed their looks. And this is obviously supposed to be daytime. And now we're back to, like, footage filmed for this movie. And again, the monsters are pretty much sizing each other up. And Geras isn't doing anything against... what's your name? Gigan. Okay, that's amusing there. I think that little bleep moment from Gigan's head, I think that was supposed to be where his laser beam was. Because I remember seeing Gigan like show off his laser beam on the VHS cover for Godzilla vs. Gigan, and I was so disappointed. Wait, look, Rodan, right there, Rodan. And Godzilla had changed appearances 3 times. Godzilla's back to his Invasion of Astro Monster look there. And now back to his Ghidorah look. Astro Monster look. Like, this movie is it's a mess in terms of its stock footage. What was it? Oh, yeah. I was so disappointed that Gigan never once used his laser beam that was advertised on all the posters. I wonder if that's the same set that they used for the chairman's office earlier. Because if you look behind the characters' heads and behind those control panels, you could kind of see windows. And I wonder if they just redressed that set to make it look like the self-defense control room. And there's an over-the-top amount of blood right there. Something that Eiichi Tsuburaya would never have allowed. I mean, there was some blood in Godzilla Raids Again, but that movie was in black and white, and that was only the second monster movie he'd done. And technically, he wasn't special effects director for Destroy All Monsters, where Ghidorah's neck was bleeding. But again, it wasn't just like a fountain of blood, like with this movie. Oh yeah, Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla. God, so many monster names that begin with G. Godzilla is pretty much like a sprinkler of blood. And the thing is, it's all red. Like someone pointed out here, Spider's Prime, Gamera bleeds a lot in the Showa era. But Gamera's blood is like purple, I think. Like, it's never blood. It's never red. I mean, I think the rules might be different for Japan. But I know in America, like, you can have, like, if you make blood any kind of color but red, you can show as much bloodshed as you want. But for some reason, the MPAA has a problem with red. Which, like, in Alien vs. Predator, that movie is PG-13, and the Predators and the aliens bleed all over the place, but their blood's green. You can't show, like, that amount of, like, human blood and violence for a PG-13 movie. The blood's green. Gamera's blood is green. Okay. Yeah, that's kind of ironic that Gamera's movies are more child-friendly. Like, they're definitely more aimed for kids than the Godzilla movies were. But those movies were not afraid to have their monsters just bleed constantly. There's that buzzsaw at work again. This part confuses me. Like, and Geras is, like, staring at Gigan's buzzsaw, wondering what to do, and then he just charges right into it. You know, if you, in terms of Giran, if you actually watch, Gauss gets decapitated by Giran in that movie, like, straight up. But if you watch Giran's death, like, Giran's head blows up, but Giran's body flies up into the air, and then when he lands, like, Giran has his head back on. So it's just, I mean, that whole Gamera series, that whole Showa era of Gamera movies is just a mess already. I don't know what movie this music's from. Yeah, and Geras just decides to run right into the buzzsaw. Like, what did he hope to accomplish with that? Oh, this is like you want to talk about some stupid aliens right here. Like, the Keylok were boring. Like, the biggest crime that the Keylok and Destroy All Monsters ever commit is that they're boring. They're dull aliens. But they're never moronic like the cockroach aliens here. You know, Godzilla sure is suffering from that laser shooting everywhere but on Godzilla. Like, this isn't the case of, like, the aliens being defeated by their technology being used against them. This is the aliens being defeated by just their straight up incompetence and stupidity. And supposedly they're giant-ass cockroaches. Oh, sorry about that, Razorbike, but we are at the 1 hour and 17-minute mark. The Godzilla Tower just got blown up. Boom! And here's another thing that kind of bugs me later on. Since the cockroach aliens are now killed, Ghidorah and Gigan are just standing around mindlessly. Like, they're not even doing anything. Like, they just... Like, at least Ghidorah still, like, attacked Godzilla and Rodan in Invasion of Astro Monster. But what are they doing? Yeah, it took Anguirus a long time to react to that gravity beam. Yeah, it's like, again, I understand that you're supposed to slow down the footage to make the monsters feel as big as they are, but... Oh, Jesus. Guy can just hit Godzilla right in the head. But the choreography of these fight sequences are just so slow. You know, there is something ironic and poetic about Nakajima's last movie being this, where his opponent who plays Gigan would end up later becoming Godzilla later on. There's just something very ironic that this movie is just kind of like a metaphorical passing the torch, even though Ken Satsuma wouldn't play Godzilla until 1984, and there were 3 more Godzilla movies to go before that movie came around. Okay, so Godzilla got knocked into that tower very lightly, landed on his feet, and then destroys that tower. You know, I do like those moments where Gigan moves up to Ghidorah, is like, hey, watch this. And apparently Godzilla's eyes are closed right there. And yeah, that suit is falling apart. Like there, Gigan, like, rather than falling down by the impact of Godzilla's tail, is like, oh, I got hit. Ooh. Oh yeah, I think if I remember correctly, I think Ken Satsuma for the Return of Godzilla actually lost a lot of weight just playing Godzilla for that movie. Because he just sweat so much. I honestly can't wait till we get to that movie. But that's, we only got 3 more movies of the Showa era left to go before we get into the Return of Godzilla. So I wonder what if this whole children's land was not just a base for the aliens, and it had actually been a theme park, what would that building have been? Like, what would that building have been, and what would the Godzilla Tower have actually been? Would the Godzilla Tower have just been a museum? And I'm still curious what that building would be, and there's so many, like, I'm so confused on, like, what this theme park would have been if it wasn't just a base for aliens. And yeah, as Godzilla and Gigan are fighting, you have Anguirus and Ghidorah just watching and doing nothing. Like, especially Ghidorah. Like, for as aggressive as Ghidorah can be, he's pretty clueless. Especially that part where he just allows... It's like he doesn't even acknowledge Anguirus is behind him. Lets him attack his tail. And then it's suddenly daytime because Destroy All Monsters stock footage. Oh, suddenly Anguirus just got out from under Ghidorah's feet and grabbed his neck. Then we're back to nighttime with Godzilla and Gigan. Yeah, is it just me, or is this Ghidorah suit slightly... It could be just me, but there's something about that Ghidorah suit that just looks significantly smaller than the one used in Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster up until Destroy All Monsters. And of course, Gigan and Ghidorah start wasting their time by arguing with each other. Like, as short... I don't understand why... first of all, I don't understand why they didn't... I don't understand why they didn't subtitle that conversation between Godzilla and Anguirus. Alright, that's amusing. Like, I'm getting these names so mixed up. And it's embarrassing for me. But I like how Anguirus just kind of like launches himself backwards into Ghidorah. But yeah, as slow and as fast um as quick as the fight between Godzilla and Gabra is in Invasion of the Astro Monster, at the very least, like, it's fast paced and it's well choreographed. These monster fight scenes are just kind of slow and just not amusing. Yeah, Ghidorah's neck should be broken right now. Although his necks are snake-like, so I assume that they could withstand that flexibility. We're going to show that same sequence again, but we're going to slow it down slightly. Then we're going to show it one final time, huh? But we're going to slow it down even more. I wonder if we'll ever get Godzilla 1985 with Raymond Burr on Blu-ray. I doubt it, because like there's some stock music used in that version of the movie that they can't get around with. They can't sort out because of copyright issues. And there's the end of the movie where Gigan and Ghidorah fly away into space. Yeah, Razorbike said it best right there. Because New World Pictures that distributed and pretty much was responsible for the re-edit of The Return of Godzilla went out of business. So, and I'm certain that Criterion does not want to pick up that movie. So they can't work around that. But honestly, like, it's the inferior version of that movie. The important thing is we have the Japanese version. You know, with the conversation of, like, peace and whatnot. Oh, it's just a regular cockroach. No, that's not who will inherit the earth. Here's how it goes. God creates dinosaurs. God destroys dinosaurs. God creates man. Man destroys God. Man creates dinosaurs. Dinosaurs eat man. Women inherit the earth. That's how it works. Not cockroaches. Get your priorities straight, movie. I had to do that. I could not help myself. Pretty fitting that they have this shot right here as if like it's a goodbye for Nakajima's role as Godzilla. It's a shame that this had to be the last movie that Nakajima played Godzilla. Till he has crisscrossed the globe. He has his target in his sights. He'll defeat the evil monsters with his enormous body and droopy eyes. That's kind of insulting. Tomorrow he'll fight again. That's our Godzilla. I don't think I've ever seen this subtitled. Huh. In the end. Yeah. I do not like this movie at all. I really, like, I still stand by the fact that this is my least favorite of the Showa era movies because it's just so egregious with its stock footage. The monster scenes that aren't stock footage are just so slow that it's not exciting. The human characters are not interesting, honestly, and the aliens are just downright inept. So, yeah, I tried, and it feels like the biggest problem with this movie is that it's Jun Fukuda, but it feels like this was more of a studio movie than anything. It feels like, I don't even know if I want to bring up this comparison, but no, I won't. I will not bring up this comparison. But since Tomi Tanaka was not satisfied with Godzilla vs. Hedorah, it felt like he needed to get the Godzilla series back on track, and so Jun Fukuda came in, and he was pretty much told to make a movie that Ishiro Honda would make, because it definitely feels more like a Honda ripoff than it does anything Jun Fukuda would do. And Jun Fukuda's Godzilla movies, with the exception of Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla, are not the best in the series. But that's just how this movie feels to me. I tried to give it a shot, and for as much as I like Gigan, it's just not. This movie doesn't do it for me. But yeah, Thursday will be a much more entertaining Godzilla movie. Maybe not a good one, but definitely an entertaining one. Godzilla vs. Megalon. And this is one that, we'll have fun with Thursday's movie. But once again, thank you guys for tuning in, watching the movie with me. If you were watching this live but you didn't interact with the comment section, please do that. Please be interactive. Please ask questions and whatnot. If you're watching this in post, I do recommend that you watch these live because of all the interactivity that I encourage. And if you really like what I'm doing with the channel and you want to help support the ability to do more watch-alongs, go to patreon.com/TheRealMrRobinson, and for only $1 a month, you'll be able to get exclusive watch-alongs that are just for patrons. If you can't support the channel financially, then that's fine. Your subscriptions and all your other support on YouTube is well earned, and I will definitely appreciate that. Yeah, until next time, this is the real Mr. Robinson telling you there's only one.